Hello, Doug. It's wonderful to see you. I just made this bad mistake and the record button was not pressed, and so we're going to do this again. So please introduce yourself with this gorgeous song that you're going to play for us, and we'll get started.
Well, thank you, Barbara. It's lovely to be on your show today. And my name is Doug Balfour. I'm a pianist by profession, and I've been doing that for about, oh my gosh, how many years? 45 years or something? I don't know. And lately in my career and in my life, I've taken up singing much more actively and enjoying it very much. And I'm sure Barb and I will have a lot to talk about today on that subject.
We will.
But I'd like to start with a little something just to kind of set a mood here. This is a little piano piece by one of my favorite composers, the Norwegian Edvard Grieg, and it's entitled Arietta, or basically it's a song without words.
Mm.
And it's rather apt, I think, because I've been moving from playing songs without words all my life to more moving towards playing songs with words. So here's Arietta.
Wonderful. Ah, beautiful. Such a beautiful song. And as I watch you play it, I would think that your main thing in life is playing classical piano. And anybody watching, I think, would feel that way too. And yet I know you also as a rocker, as a jazz pianist. You also know music theater very well, and you're a composer in these different styles. It's quite a big talent you have there. Quite surprising.
Thank you. You can fool some of the people some of the time. Just keep moving around and they'll never catch you.
Well, you've got me fooled in that case. You and I have worked together for maybe 4 years. You playing for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've sung all different kinds of styles with you, and always been pretty amazed that you can just like that change keys, change styles. It's pretty big talent. It's been such a joy to work with you. But I know that you've worked with many singers over the years, so you've kind of got a sense of what singers do. Tell us a little bit about what it is about playing for singers that you enjoy and that's kept you kind of in the singerly game for, well, 40, 45 years. Talk a bit about that.
Well, when I was younger, when I was about 20, and realized I wasn't going to win the Tchaikovsky competition and make millions of dollars being a world famous concert pianist, like so many musicians, I kind of had to make choices. And I loved accompanying people. I loved working with other instrumentalists, and I loved working with singers.
Hmm.
And as I kind of got out into the real world and graduated, well, I wouldn't say graduated, but I went into other fields, notably music theater, cabaret, some jazz, and playing with bands. That I loved working with singers, and I learned from all of them. I think I learned something from everybody I ever worked with.
Give us a sense of the kinds of things that you would learn.
Um, Phrasing,
Hmm.
different, where the words are more important, where the music's more important. Um, probably the biggest lesson I learned is just to kind of shut up and stay out of the way. Let the
Ah,
singer do it. To be an accompanist. That's the number one
that's
mistake that all young pianists make. You
that's a big
overplay,
lesson.
too late.
And
It takes a while to get that, but
it's
I,
not an
I
easy lesson. I think a lot of pianists want to show their stuff, understandably, but with a singer, you really do have to know when you can show your stuff and when not to.
yeah.
So, you were telling us that, or telling me before we started the interview, that some singers are more into words and some are more into the music. And some singers, there's few of them that pull it all together.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about one or two singers that kind of pulled it together.
Well, I don't want to kind of embarrass anybody by naming names, so I'll start with you.
Oh my God.
You're my first victim. Uh,
Okay.
when you've got a powerhouse voice, you've
Uh,
got this big powerhouse engine voice, and you have so much technique, and you have managed to learn to sing simpler music.
mhm.
Music. Leonard Cohen, or I won't say Joni Mitchell because she's not always that simple, but
No, true.
uh, yeah, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Gordon Lightfoot, and to me, the greatest music is simple.
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of flashy virtuosic music. I just never have.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm impressed by it. Sometimes I wish I could do it more than I do, but it's never been the music I really fall in love with. And in your case, you brought a new light to those sort of songs.
To the,
So I thought, okay, there's more than one way to skin a cat here. More than one way to do a song.
right.
Some of the other good I've worked with a whole bunch of good ones, and forgive me, all you really good ones who I've worked with, and I'm not going to mention. I spent quite a few years in Toronto working with Susan Wesson, who's a
Very good.
powerhouse singer,
Oh,
and taught me a lot about interpretation. And also, I learned a lot about breathing and how to sing. We worked as a duo for years, and I wound up, that's really kind of one of the first places I started singing was singing harmonies with her and accompanying parts. And so to match her phrasing, I had to realize how much I had to open up. So,
open up in what way?
well, physically, just opening my diaphragm,
Oh,
letting
in
the
terms of
sound
breathing.
resonate more,
Oh,
learning to project more up, just project, which is an art that sometimes gets a little lost in this age of microphones and digital processing. But some other singers, a wonderful singer in Vancouver I worked with called Karen Plato, wonderful jazz singer. She's a well-known singer across Canada. I had the pleasure and opportunity to do some work with her.
what made her
It was,
special?
um, well, she was a real musician. She sang jazz standards, but she didn't try to Betty Boop them. She really she had this beautiful voice, and she kept her voice very pure. She kept it very pure and straight ahead.
Mm.
Some other singers, I worked with a young guy in Vancouver. This was back in the late 90s. I was in a show that was about the big band era called Forever Swing. And the feature singer in that show, who did most of the Sinatra type material, was a young guy from Vancouver called Michael Bublé. And
Michael.
yeah, that guy. I got to know Michael a little bit.
Okay.
Very nice fella, and I'm glad he's gone on to such great lengths. Very talented guy and deserved to make it.
Did you see
Um,
that in him way back then? Did you see the possibility?
yeah, kind of. I think we all saw it, that he was he was a slightly goofy character and a very likable guy, and very charming, and he had this great voice. I don't think anybody, even us back then, could have anticipated just how wildly successful
Right.
he would become. But I think we knew he was going to do something,
Yeah, you get a sense of
But
that.
yeah, yeah. And oh gosh, there's been all kinds of them. But I've learned from everybody,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's when you play for singers for 45 years or 40 years,
Mhm.
you pick up a lot. And you
Mhm.
must you said in the bio that you sent me, I thought it was really cute. You said that when you played for singers, many times you wished that it was you who was singing. So you always had the desire inside you, or for many years, I can't say always, to be up there singing yourself. That's so fascinating that so many pianists don't have that. No, don't ask me to sing. No way. But you want to sing.
Well, I used to be like that, and I understand why pianists are that way. Yeah, the biggest problem for piano players to sing is that playing this thing is such a complicated beast, and
Yes.
it's so technical, the
Yeah.
piano. And, and I think the mistake, and I certainly was guilty of this, that pianists sometimes tend to make is they lose track of the fact that it's all about singing music. When
Uh,
you're playing, it's all about singing.
even
If
even
it's
when you
not
play a
singing,
piano.
yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Like I've always said, I think the biggest factor for me in taking up singing later in life is it's changed my actual piano playing.
Yeah, wow. In what way?
Well, it's made me much more aware of the inside voices, how all the voices are locking together, inside the music, and to make everything sing. And I think I tend to leave more space, more light between.
Oh, interesting.
I
Could you show us something? Could you play a piece and sing? Do you feel like it?
Well,
Yeah?
let's pretend that it was, we're in Franciscan monks somewhere back in the 12th century, and
Okay.
we're starting today with chants. Okay, now a lot of this is where I think all music originated from.
From
It's
what
either that or
age
else
are you?
picking up a club and banging the ground with it. It's one or the other. Uh, all music originates from singing.
Mm. Hmm.
It's evolved technologically. I mean, it doesn't, just because there isn't a singer doesn't mean it's not music.
Right.
But I think the most beautiful music reflects singing, and
And that's
you know,
because as
yeah,
primitive people, we sat
yeah,
around the campfire and we told
yeah,
stories and we sang to
yeah.
one another.
Or you're Johann Sebastian Bach in the 1730s, and you're back in with the monks somewhere.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You
Yeah, you
know.
hear those two melodies, two
Yeah.
voices that are
Yeah.
talking to one another. Beautiful.
Now, Mr. Bach loved to throw curves at piano players by like having 6 or 7 entrances come in, and you got to hold on to them all together.
Oh, that must be so hard on the mind. It's hard enough to keep track of one melody, but then there's two, and then there's more.
Yeah,
Poor
well,
pianists.
yeah, and the problem is we got to listen to some hotshot like Glenn Gould sit down and nail this stuff inside out. You know.
But you play and sing for us. Just whatever
Oh,
comes
okay,
to mind, a little bit.
okay. Well, here's something totally off the wall. This is a an old kind of jazz blues standard from the early part of the 20th century, and it's called "After You've Gone."
Now listen, honey, while I say your love and daddy is going away. Don't say we must part. Don't break my aching heart. You know I've loved you for many a year. Loved you night and day. Now listen, honey, can't you see my tears? So listen while I say, after you've gone and left me crying, after you've gone, there's no denying you'll feel sad, you'll feel blue, you'll miss the best love that ever happened to you. When there come a time, I don't forget it, there come a time when you'll regret it. Someday when you feel lonely, your heart will break like mine, and you'll want me only after you've gone away. Someday you've gone, after you've gone away.
Oh, that's great. It's got so much spirit. And it's a different person from what you played at the very beginning of this interview.
Well, I think I broke every rule of good accompanying in that because I played too loud and I played too many notes. But you know,
But you're allowed because you're playing for yourself.
yeah, it's only me. So don't try this at home, kids. You know.
So tell me, how you're singing now. The people who will be watching this are a lot of them will be singers over 40. That's the people that I speak to. And in some cases, singers over 50, singers over 60. And people at that age, and we're over 60, the two of us, they want to know that they can improve. And you told me before this interview that you feel your voice has improved even now that you're in your 60s. So talk a little bit about that and inspire us.
If you're an aspiring singer, you may want to go take a lesson or two. Just do it. Honestly, I can't say more than just do it. In my case, I was playing a lot of seniors' homes. And I found just sitting and playing, they would appreciate it. They were nice audiences, but they tune you out a little bit after a while. You got to directly connect with them. And I would sing. At the beginning, I was pretty lousy, but they seemed to enjoy it that I did that. And so they kept saying, oh, keep singing, keep singing. So I just kept singing and it just added to repertoire. And I listened to singers that I like on recordings, you know, and thought, okay, well, what would work for me and what should I do? And I don't know. I think it's individual. I think everybody has to find their own way into it.
The time that you spent at these retirement homes just playing for fun and to give them pleasure, your voice improved. And how did it improve?
Basically, in a nutshell, I learned to open up, to sing, keep everything open, sing from down here. I mean, a common mistake among singers, and I even see sometimes professional singers do this, and who am I to criticize professional singers, but you see their veins on their neck are almost sticking out. I'm going, they're you know this syndrome, like they're singing from the shoulders up.
Yes.
And especially if you're going to try to sing high. I think one thing that my voice did do was open up a bit on the top.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
You know,
yeah.
And I mean, I'm never going to be a tenor, but I can get up a little more than I used to, and I have more control over the high notes, and that's from learning to actually kind of dig deeper. Yeah. And it teaches you to breathe. And it's the same when I play piano now, you know, sometimes I'll be practicing a piece and I'm not getting something in it. And the first question I always ask myself now is, are you breathing?
Wow.
And usually the answer is, no, I've forgotten to breathe.
Wow.
And once you breathe, it becomes a lot easier to try to learn it.
And when you do start to harness your deeper and greater abilities of breathing, your music really does change. It's true. I found that too. But I'm surprised to hear you say it with regards to piano, that when you breathe when you're playing, that changes things a lot. Wow. Fascinating.
Yeah, it teaches you to think like a singer. I mean, well, of course, it's all the music I love to play is related to singing somehow. I mean, my favorite composers are, if I had to say my favorite composers to play, probably Schubert, Brahms,
very singy,
Beethoven.
Yes.
You know, very connected to vocal lines. And
are there singers like I know that there's one singer that you really like, a pop singer, and he's kind of if Joni Mitchell is my favorite singer to sing, your favorite is who? Who was that?
Oh, Tom Waits.
Yes. Okay. Now there's a singer.
Okay.
We're talking about breathing and beauty of tone. Talk about Tom Waits.
Yeah, there's Tom. He's got a beautiful voice, Tom.
What is it about him?
Well, in Tom's case, people say, "Oh, Tom Waits can't sing," and well, in his early days, it was all influenced by smoke and booze, which he doesn't do anymore, by the way. Apparently,
oh, okay,
he hasn't for many years. So if you're listening, Mr. Waits, I'm not saying anything bad about you here. You're great. You're the best.
No, you
But
love
he has
it.
a beautiful way of phrasing. If especially like if you put him with a string section or something, and he brings out the emotion in the song. If you listen to something like, oh, I don't know, Kentucky Avenue or On the Nickel,
Uh,
he knows how to work the music behind him, and he doesn't. I mean, his voice sounds like a derelict at a bus stop, but
but it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. He makes it work.
And that's fascinating for we singers to fathom that you can have a voice that's pretty wrecked sounding, like Bob Dylan sounds wrecked a lot, and yet it
Yeah, Bob
comes
Dylan's
through
another classic. Yeah,
a spirit that soars through a voice that sounds like it can't make it to the next note, but it does. But the spirit that's there is, it's like it's another world, it's another universe of expression that comes through something that's not so beautiful, but is hugely expressive. You've opened up the door to me asking you a question about what you might suggest to singers to help them improve their performances. What have you noticed over the years that singers tend to do wrong, and how we could do it better maybe?
keep it simple. Keep it simple. Make sure you have a technical grasp on the song you're singing. And if it's a very emotional song, maybe sometimes I think you have to work contrary to what the emotional level of the song is.
No,
If you're
explain that.
if you're dealing with a kind of comic sort of throwaway song, you can be very emotional and expressive and get away with it. If you're dealing with a very sad or emotional song, like a broken-hearted song, I think you have to somewhat learn to keep a distance from it. Because otherwise it can tend to wallow, You have to keep a simplicity about it. You have to tell the story rather than throwing yourself into it. But I mean, I can't say that for everybody. That's some people that works for, and other people it doesn't.
Yeah. You did say to me once when we were talking about this before this interview, you said that one of the things you found with some singers is that they lack a connection with their audience. Speak a little bit about that, what you mean by the connection that's important with an audience.
Connect with them. Don't get so lost in your own thoughts that they're not there anymore. And I know I'm probably a prime suspect number one for doing that.
Oh, really?
So
Do you do that?
I'm not, know your crowd. Don't wallow too much. Try to keep stuff upbeat a little bit.
Yeah, you mentioned that what you found with some singers, and probably with me, is that they don't have enough of an arc in their concert material. Even if you do 5 songs, you want to have different textures, you want to have things that are upbeat. You don't want to have all sad songs, although some singers sing all sad songs beautifully.
Oh, yeah. Well, when Susan Wesson and I worked together, we used to have what we called the 2-to-1 ratio rule.
Oh.
And we always made ourselves sing 2 either upbeat or kind of somewhat happy songs before you were allowed that one emotional ballad. And it made the emotional ballad that much stronger. Well, it's like the arc of a play.
Sure.
If you watch a play or a movie, and a movie can be a sad movie, but if everything is just gloomy and depressing in it, eventually you're gonna shut off. You're gonna shut down.
Get saturated.
If there's intervals, and then they suddenly hit you with an emotional, well, that's when you notice it.
Yeah. We have to learn over time what works for us, and particularly what works for our audience. So could you do you feel that you could play one more song for us before we wrap this interview up?
Oh, sure. You just want one more?
I think I'd like 2 more. We'll talk a little more after you play one, but I don't want to miss out on having more music from you.
I'm going to do a song, and this is one of my own songs. This is a song I wrote a few years ago, and it's a jazz waltz. And you'll forgive me if I'm reading some of the words here, because I can never remember the words to my own songs. I remember everybody else's words, but I can't remember my own.
Yeah, I know that's a problem. Why?
Yeah. Anyway, this is a tune called "Love Waltzes In."
Oh, great.
perfect, it's a song where nothing can go wrong. The world beats in 3/4 time. If it's flawed, then it's love, and our hearts have plenty of sad, broken words that won't rhyme. Songs come by daylight, they work like a charm. Love comes by dark night and just does you harm. So take my advice and live by the song. Dance and keep your heart light. When love comes knocking at your door, say, go away, not here no more. Dance all day and dance all night. Dance till tomorrow and banish your sorrow. Let love and his buddies take flight. But there ain't no solving this one little problem. While you are dancing, love waltzes in. When love comes knocking at your door, say, go away, not here no more. Dance all day and sing all night. Dance till tomorrow, banish your sorrows. Let love and his buddies take flight. But there ain't no solving this one little problem while you are dancing, love waltzes in.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. It's, I kind of envy you. Singing teachers thought I was too young to sing, so I took piano as a little girl. But then I gave it up, and it was many, many years later that I thought, wow, it'd be so nice if I could accompany myself. And I started to work on it, but I found either I could concentrate on the piano or I could concentrate on the singing, but somehow both, I couldn't do both really well. But you do both, and you can craft a song around your singing in a way that's just wonderful. I really envy that.
Thank you. Thank you, Barb. Well, it's always a joy to work with you because I, go places that I wouldn't go.
Oh, well, thank you.
It
Thank you.
makes me think about it.
I realized as I was listening to you that there were probably, we could talk for another hour or two or three or many about music. It's just endless. But I did want to ask one more question because I know that people who are watching it also are interested in songwriting. How do you get inspired to write a song? Where does a song come from for you?
Well, all music I write, in addition to writing songs, I write chamber music, and I've written a lot of solo piano material. Don't ask me why, but nearly every piece I've ever written in my life, I wake up with it. Like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, bang, there's this signal from somewhere. Listen to this, buddy.
You didn't give yourself a message the night before and say,
No, it's like, okay, here's an idea. This is gonna drive you crazy. And I keep a little sketch pad by my bed because I try to write. If I go back to sleep and wake up 3 hours later, there's no way I'm gonna remember it.
Right.
So I either stumble out of bed and get to the piano and try to, thank God for, little cell phones, like the little self-recorder thing where you can just push a button.
Right.
And sometimes I'll come back 2 days later, listen to it and kind of going, what the heck was that about? There's nothing in there. And other times it's like, yeah, okay, there's something I can work with, And when I write songs, I don't know why, but I always hear people's voice in my head, other people's voices. Some of the ones that I hear singing the song, like I've written a few tunes that I always hear Tony Bennett's voice singing.
No kidding.
I hear Tony Bennett singing it. There's a couple of country tunes I've heard, and all I can hear is Dwight Yoakam's voice singing them.
Fascinating.
You
Wow.
know, there's songs that I would hear these people singing. That last song I sang, Love Waltzes In. Don't ask me why, and people are going to laugh, but I think she's a great singer, by the way. In addition to everything else she was in this life, she was a wonderful singer. I wrote that song for Doris Day.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Just that particular voice was
Yeah.
in your mind.
I heard Doris Day singing that song.
Yeah, I liked Doris Day's singing. I did. It was very fresh and very simple, and she didn't make a big deal about herself as a singer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
No,
good.
she was terrific. Yeah.
So, I'd like to talk with you for another hour, and maybe you'll come back for another interview sometime, because you're just
I'd love to.
you're so rich in musical idea and opinion and thought and ability. I'd like to end this interview with something. What could you play something as kind of a lead out to our interview? And I'll say goodbye to you now so I don't disturb you at the end.
Okay. Well, let me sing. This is a short song.
Oh, you're going to
And
sing. Fantastic.
this one actually, this one has different sources. I have a friend who's a cabaret artist here in Toronto, and I was trying to talk her into doing a show a few years ago. She's also a wonderful painter.
Oh.
So I had this concept for her, and I wrote a few songs, and this is a song I thought she could end the show with. But for some reason or other, now every time I hear this song, I hear Barbara Streisand singing it. It's got like a Barbara Streisand thing. I mean, and I'm not going to touch that one. I'm not going there, but
Well, why not send it to her?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm sure. Yeah. She's just dying for unsolicited material, I'm certain.
She probably does want a beautiful song, and in knowing you, this will be a beautiful song. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, this is a song called Paint Your Notes with Love.
You paint your notes with love. You fill the space with light. You color it enough to echo with delight. You judge if it is pure and if it can endure the slings and arrows of time, and never ever let it play to narrow fashions of the day, and never paint so many notes that you will lose the line. You paint your notes with love, and if you get things right, you'll make the whole world laugh and sing, and maybe make them cry, and it will stand the test of time if beauty be its reason and its rhyme.
Gorgeous song, gorgeous message.
Thank you.
What a great ender for us. And I know that so many singers will be inspired by what you've said and what you've played. Thanks so
Well,
much.
I hope so. And, just keep singing. Honestly, everybody is. And you know what? If you're a musician who doesn't sing, I can't encourage you enough to sing. And I know if I had students now, I would insist that they all sing.
Wow.
And it's not about being a great singer. You don't have to be a great singer. You think, oh, my voice isn't that good. Don't let that stop you. It doesn't matter. Just do it. Just do it. You'll find your voice. And even if you don't, it'll influence the way you think about music. I promise.
The way you think about life too.
Yeah, the way you think about life. Yes, actually, you'll be a lot happier. If we all sang, there wouldn't be the problems there are in the world, I think.
No, you might be right, yeah. I can certainly second that. Thank you so much, Doug.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara. It's been lovely spending this time with you.